It's been really exciting to see, I think, labor beginning to reflect the new economy. I mean, the reality is, historically, workers always find ways to organize. People have to survive. You find new ways of standing up for yourself and to demand a real sense of dignity on the job and to build power. But I think what's happened is, we've been really restricted, a lot of our thinking, within the confines only of the NLRB. And so over the past 10 to 20 years, when you've seen a real growth of organizations like ours, the Taxi Workers Alliance, who continue to organize outside of the NLRB, it's just really exciting and promising and inspiring to see the labor movement recognize work such as ours, to be the same as labor organizing with, even within the NLRB context.
In Los Angeles alone, in the greater Los Angeles, there's an estimated 10,000 car wash workers that are part of that industry. All those workers, most of them are monolingual Spanish-speaking workers, many of them who are not only immigrant, but they're undocumented workers. And so it's a population that we know not only works under really bad working conditions, but probably is at the most marginalized and disenfranchised way of living that we have here in our city. And so it's a unique population, but not one that labor hasn't tried to work with them before, especially here in Los Angeles.
Some of the challenges of organizing the restaurant industry is it's like less than 0.01% unionized, and also the power of the National Restaurant Association, the other NRA, they've just been named like the 10th most powerful lobbying group in Congress. And they're the ones that put a lot of money into defeating like minimum wage proposals or making sure that workers don't have access to pay sick days. So we're against a very strong opposition. So in order for us to challenge that power and that influence, we have to really galvanize all these different stakeholders, workers, employers, consumers, into like ethical eaters. So we hope, through our strategy, we're able to kind of like touch those different stakeholders to move to do something about it, and also really to uplift the voices and the issues of restaurant workers.
Our job and our organizing tactic is a little bit different than some of the other industries that are being organized, the non-traditional industries that are being organized. But I think that the barriers around sexism and racism are very strong also in the work that we do, because it's domestic work and it's something that's largely considered women's work. And so there's a really strong barrier of that work being traditionally devalued. And so we're really looking at it from a perspective of changing the way our society works and values domestic workers.
In day labor organizing, you have a public street corner with cars driving by, with clients coming up, and the only thing that necessarily unites people from jump is the competition for the same job that they're all trying to get. You're fired at the end of every single day. You're placed in conditions where you're negotiating through a car window. In that circumstance, how do you organize? You organize by empowering people and making people realize that we're stronger together than divided. And when we compete against each other, it's only a race for the bottom. And so that changes when people see that when the police show up, we actually have to be united in order to push that back. When an employer knows that I could probably not pay you one day and hire someone else the next, it has to be that an injury to one is an injury to all. The time-honored lessons that we have from the labor movement apply to any industry or any sector, whether it's day labor or janitors or domestic workers or anyone else. It's about coming together.
I think that this convention holds a lot of promise. I think that the labor movement is changing and going in the right direction. Has it changed fast enough? No. Does capital change faster than we do? Yeah, and we live in a political structure which, continues to apologize to capital while capital apologizes to nobody. And that's partly why we're always behind in the struggle, but I think we have a really dynamic leadership in the labor movement, that's visionary and understands that in order for us to survive as a movement, the class itself has to survive, and vice versa. So I think the change is real. I don't think it's rhetoric. No, we wouldn't be here if the change was only rhetorical. You know, we independently organized for a very long time. We started in 1996. We approached the Federation regarding affiliation in 2011. You know, we're not strangers to doing it alone. But when we saw that this is a leadership that is visionary, that believes in truly taking on capital. I mean, I have to tell you, when President Trumka came out in support of Occupy Wall Street and was one of the first supporters of the movement, that for me was a pivotal moment in the history of the labor movement. You know, recognizing that the not only external forces, right, but recognizing, you know, the role of militancy within the working class in order to bring about change. And that, you know, we as a movement, we have a decision to make. Either we stand at the behest of capital, or we stand in toward progress, you know, which means confronting capital. And given that that is what Occupy Wall Street, you know, as a movement, put on the front pages and on, you know, the kitchen tables of our entire country, for us as a movement and to have our president stand in support of them early on, for me, that's what ultimately sold me that this is a labor leader who truly gets it. And there's no institution like the AFL-CIO when it comes to, you know, really the liberation of the working class. And so, as a working class person, been poor my whole life, this is home, you know. And I'm really proud to stand in the hallway of the people that kept people like my mom safe at work, you know, and have fought for the right to dignity of people like myself for a very long time.